You're listening to The Coach Show with Coach Banks, Coach Swanson, Coach Koslerich, and Coach Doherty on the Coaching Culture and Athletics Radio Broadcast Network. Sit back and enjoy the show. The views and opinions discussed in this podcast are not necessarily the opinion of the host or the Coach Show on the Coaching Culture in Athletics Radio Broadcast Network. Let's get it done.
I have no idea what that was, but it scared me just a little bit. But anyway, what a way to start, right? We just made everybody in North America cringe because of that crazy. I don't know what it was, but anyway, you're listening to the Coach Show on the CCA Broadcast Network. Today's show again is sponsored by the Mad Culture President in Athletics, written by Charles Banks, yours truly. Looking to become a sponsor of a growing organization or interested in joining our podcast team, email us at coachingcultureandathletics@gmail.com. Message us on Twitter at CCA Culture or on Facebook, Coaching Culture and Athletics. Tonight, you're in for a real treat. We welcome back Chip Baker of the Success Chronicles. And tonight's show is about what makes a successful organization and how many questions does Coach Swanson really want to ask. That's the show tonight. But anyway, Chip, tell everybody out there, just a little bit about you, how you came up with the Success Chronicles. I know you and I have had a chance to chat, and I've had you on the show, but I'm going to let you basically in on Coach Swanson, Coach Doherty, and the rest of the world here tonight.
Yes, sir. Well, first off, Coach, I want to say thanks so much for giving me the opportunity to hang out with you guys this evening. Anytime that you can hang out with educators and coaches that are doing great things, it's always an opportunity to learn so much. And so I'm excited about that, to learn from you guys and just have a good time. But myself, Chip Baker, I'm really just an ordinary guy working really hard to achieve some extraordinary things, Texas guy from originally from Hearn, Texas, which is over by College Station by Texas A&M. Fourth generation educator. This is my 21st year in education, been teaching and coaching. And I've done lots of things, special education. So I've pretty much done everything under the special ed umbrella. About 3 years ago, a little over 3 years ago, I started the Success Chronicles. And basically what I do is I interview people from all walks of life, and I share their stories for positive inspiration and motivation. And when I started it, I realized that I was raised by and was around some amazing people, right? And so I started it to just show appreciation and give back to them and highlight their stories because they were inspiring to me. And little did I know it would grow, and it's truly been a blessing.
And you're going to have to tell the Carl Lewis story here in a little bit. I'll let Swanson and Coach Doherty at least get their questions in. And I'm going to be giving them a hard time about those questions. But anyway, it's whoever wants to chime in. Chip is an inspiration. If you get a chance, check out his YouTube channel. He's got a plethora of videos, and they are very inspiring.
Thank you, Coach.
I'll start off, Chip, and great to have you on. We appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to join us tonight. For a great cause, of course, talking to people about what it takes to be successful. And as you said, having people share their success. Yeah. You've done many interviews and everything. So I'm just curious off the top of my head, out of all the people you've interviewed, is there one success story that really just sticks out in your mind that you just find inspirational and motivational?
It's really not one. I mean, probably the most important one to me is my mother. I interviewed my mother and put hers out like the first Thanksgiving, that I was doing the Success Chronicles. And to me, I was raised by a great mother, single parent mom. I live with a superhero in my house. And so I've been blessed to interview some really cool people, like Coach said. But, the one that's been, my favorite is really like my mother, and the ability to highlight her and show her, and show people to the world that, this lady is amazing. So that's been my favorite.
It got a little quiet, so I had to jump in. Coach Doherty, I think that your special fan is listening right now.
Hi, Mom.
I love that. So what about when you're looking at organizations that are struggling, and because you're spending some time now talking to different organizations, making changes, the step plan that you guys have, what kind of advice would you give to struggling organizations out there where their culture just isn't quite right?
I think the first is, it starts with having servant leadership. And, when you have servant leadership, then, the people that are under you and around you, see firsthand, not necessarily by what you say, but more so by what your actions. And when you have those type of actions, I think people will follow you. I mean, it's awesome to see that, it shows the people that they can trust you. It shows the people that you care about them, and, I'm here to do what I can do to help. I think for me, that's where it starts. And then secondly, I think it's important to, leave your ego and your baggage, leave it at the door. I think we all have baggage or this or that. We all wear many hats, but it's important to literally many hats. We all have on hats. But I think it's important to make sure that, when you're in the moment, you're in the moment, and really, focus in on, the right now and be in the moment at this time. And so what that does is it creates loyalty with your people, because it shows them that, hey, this is important to him, and this is important to our leaders, and it becomes infectious. And then from there, I think you have to have a healthy dose of love and accountability. Really, really love your people, really, really take care of them, but also, make sure that, everyone is accountable, and, have exacts of, the expectations, have what happens if those exacts don't come through, and then you have to follow through as well, because, that shows that, hey, it's a structured organization. And then effective communication is one thing that comes up for me too. I think it's important that we're open, honest, and consistent with that, as well. I think and for me, my personal experience is the best leaders that I've been around have been those that were great at having the hard conversation. Like they, if it was difficult things, like, they may not have been okay with it, but they could do it. Hey, we need to do this because of this. And they were open and honest. And then I think the last thing that comes to mind when you ask that question is just work. I mean, you got to put the work in. If you want things to be good, you have to put work in.
I want to make sure that I'm not stepping on anybody's toes, so I'll let you guys go ahead.
One thing you said when you're listening to that is, love and accountability. So, in today's society and today's culture, it's getting harder to hold people accountable. What do you use? Because, you're an educator, you're a coach and all that stuff. What's a method you use that helps, hold people accountable, especially, the younger kids these days?
I'm glad you asked me that question. I think in my career, I've been blessed to be in all different types of environments. As far as, for the fluent, not so fluent. I mean, like, I've been really fortunate to be able to learn in all of those types of environments. And I think the consistent thing that allows success to take place in all environments is, you're, like I said, first off, have expectations. Secondly, have the consequences that will take place if, those expectations aren't met. And then the big thing is the follow through. Like if I told you I'm going to do this, if you do this, well, I got to do that if you do that. And so I think that's been the biggest thing for me.
Coach Doherty, you have anything?
Yeah. So obviously your top tier guys or students, whatever it may be, that accountability piece isn't as much of a problem with them because they're driven a little bit different. What about those middle tier and lower tier people inside of an organization? How do you get them to come along with the ownership that you were talking about?
That's a good question, Coach. I think for me, looking at it from the athlete perspective, I've been all of those tiers in my life. Whether it's, high school being, a pretty decent athlete, going to college where there's a lot of good athletes and not being, the top is like I was in high school. So I know the feeling of what it feels like to, feel like you don't have worth or not communicated with because, you're not as important in the scheme or whatever that may be. But again, some of the best leaders that I've been around have been leaders that, let everybody know their worth, and, those guys that find something for kids. And I think if you can, let everyone feel that like, hey, you're a part of this team. Like we need you here every day. And so, and you reward those guys, not to hurt your game, but, you find ways that they can excel. And it's crazy how, probably 8 to 9 times out of 10, those guys are going to come through for you because they know you believe in them. They're going to give you everything they have to give.
And I totally agree with that. Now, what about the real hard to reach kid? The student athlete that for whatever reason, they come in, their family life isn't that great. You've heard the outside noise from other coaches saying, "Oh my goodness, Jim here is just not going to be a team player." How do you reach those kids? That's one of the greatest questions I think that's out there, because I think everybody deserves a chance to come in with a clean slate and succeed.
Well, first off, when I hear about that, I'm raising my hand because I want that kid, right? Like I want to coach that kid. Give me that kid. For me, that's the challenge, and that's what I love about it. But I think at the end of the day, just like anything, there's a reason for every behavior, right? And so if a kid is a troubled kid, if he comes in as a troubled kid, well, it's my job to find out, okay, why are you behaving like this, right? Like where does it come from? Is it the pain? Like what's going on at your home? What's happening? I think, and I know we're talking sports or whatever, but like, that's the deal. Like a lot of times like people have interviewed and they ask me about like school shootings and those kind of things. I think the thing that hurts my heart, Coach, is that if kids are doing those things, it shows me that nobody has reached those kids. And for me, that's unacceptable, right? Because in any organization I'm in, we're going to love kids. Every kid that comes in here in our building and whatever, love on them. Make sure, coach them hard, but you make sure you love them even harder, right? And so I think when you do those things, I think it organically quiets the outside noise. All of that other stuff, on the outside becomes less important because the kid knows that, they have worth, they have value. I'm looking forward to going to hang out with Coach today because, I know that I'm important to what's going on. So organically, I think those things happen. And there comes a time too. One of my mentors, we were talking a few years back, and we were talking about discipline and all of those things. And a lot of times when you have kids that see the devil every day in their environment, like when they go home, You can't scare those kids. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't say, you know, like you have to be real with those kids. And you have to say, hey, I expect you to do this. If you don't do this, this is what I want to do. You know, and then if they don't do it, I have to follow through and make it happen so they know, hey, he's real. He's a man of his word. Like he told me he was going to do that. And then be consistent with that. So that's how I would handle that, Coach.
That's a great response. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
You know, one of the hardest things I think is the follow through sometimes, simply because in today's society, when you try to follow through, you have, you know, from the coaching and teaching perspective, you have parents that disagree with the follow through.
Yeah.
You know, how would you communicate with those parents that what you're doing has a reason, has a purpose, and that the follow through is necessary for their kid to reach potential and be successful?
Well, I think that falls back on the communication. It's important to ahead of time, as a coach, as a leader, as a staff, know your non-negotiables, if you will. Know the things that you stand for, your values, and stand firm on those values. And then once you have that, the core common principles that you believe in and that you're going to go fight with, then you have to communicate those effectively to all parties involved. And so, you know, all parties involved is, you know, the staff, the community, the parents, the kids, you know, and so, again, you know, when everybody in line knows, hey, this is what it is, this is how it's going to be, and it's hard. It's hard when you love kids and you're taking care of kids to not do the right thing for them. You have to do the right thing, and the right thing is holding them accountable, like, because it's not saying, hey, I don't love and care for you. It's just saying, hey, you know, we talked about this. We said this is going to happen, but I'm not going to let you mess up what all of these other guys are doing the right way. You're not going to do that. And so you either get on, right, or you can't be a part of it, because there's a whole lot of guys out there that's willing to do that. You need to step it up. And so that's how I would approach that. And then, you know, with the parents, I think, and this is a big deal. And I don't know if, you know, you guys have kids or whatever, but, you know, once you have kids, you know, it's kind of your perspective, kind of, I don't know, like the way you coach, you know, like have always taken care of kids, but once I had a son, you know, I really wanted to make sure that I, you know, went above and beyond to love kids, you know, and treat them like, you know, I would, you know, take care of and treat my son, or how I would want somebody to treat him if they were coaching him. And so,
did you ever have an issue when you were coaching your own son? Because I had it, you know, especially as a young coach, and I remember coaching my daughter, you know, and I was like super hard on her. I mean, like, but you know, I was hard on. I wouldn't necessarily call it hard. I coach in a pretty ferocious way because I want my kids to go out and, you know, and play that way. Okay, that you know, run through that brick wall. However, sometimes dads tend to overcoach their own kids, and they're much harder on them. How do you get past that?
Well, the fortunate thing for me is my son is 13. I only have one, and so I've done high school, so I haven't gotten to that, and then so I haven't really, you know, have dealt with that one-on-one. But I think for me, I don't know. I think I'm father first, you know, and you know, in situations that he's been in, like, you know, like little league, whatever, soccer or other things, and my wife will say, what does he need to worry about? Like, man, he has a coach. You know, I'm dad. Okay, I coach all day long. I'm dad. Like I really enjoy being dad. Okay, but I think you have to. That's a continual process that you have to work on and finding. I think you do that like every day. You know, did I, you know, self-evaluation? And I think as long as you're giving the effort to be the best version of yourself, there is no wrong answer for that.
You know, this question's for, you know, for all all four of us basically. But Coach Doherty, especially you. Okay, so I'm putting you on the spot here. I've had to deal with parents that all of a sudden, man, they stick out their chest, and sometimes they just go crazy, and they don't understand the whole philosophy or the rigmarole or the daily requirements of practice and this, that, and the other. I said practice, Allen Iverson, practice. But anyway, the puffed up chest or whatever. What do you suppose causes parents to just go crazy? Thinking that their sons or daughters are going to sign a Division I contract, tomorrow. I don't know.
Yeah, I think, I had a coach tell me this before. Parents, when I was a young coach, parents are real good people until it comes down to their kid. Like they're rational, they're straightforward, they're cordial, but if it's an issue with their kid, then now that's different. So me as a coach, when I look at that, like I understand, like you should be that's your prized possession. You should be your kid's advocate, right? But from my position as his coach, I want you to know that I love your kid too. Okay. And so what we have to do is we have to work together as a team so that what we do benefits that kid the best way. And so I think really it's building a bond and a relationship with the parents. And I think when you do that consistently, you don't have those issues because the parents know you have their kid's best interest at heart. And if there's something that comes up, they don't have an issue with coming to talk to you because they know, you looked out for my kid. He needs to get better. What I got to do to kick his butt, coach, to help you out.
Coach Doherty, what do you think about that? I mean, I know you're a huge culture guy, as all of us are. But how do you interact with parents so they don't put those blinders on and they come in and they're all upset that testosterone's just rushing through this, that, and the other?
Yeah, I remember one of our old ADs. He said all parents want the best 10 kids and then their kid on the field, and that's true, And a couple things that we've done, obviously setting the communication piece early on in our meetings, just telling them, letting them know first, yeah, we love our kids and we want what's best for them. As a coaching staff, we're focused on program, team, and then the individual. But part of our philosophy is education through football, and we want these kids to learn how to advocate for themselves and, approach us and ask us, hey, coach, what can I do to get better? I mean, it's a life lesson. And at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to do is produce good young men and women and people who can advocate for themselves and problem solve.
Coach Swanson, I know that you're biting your bottom lip there.
Oh, no, I agree exactly what Coach Doherty said. You've been in my parent meetings before, Coach Banks, that we talk about, like Doherty said, it's program, team, and then player, but that we love every individual that comes out for the sport. And we let them know that while this is a sport and it's meant to be fun, we are going to teach life lessons through it because I think sports are one of the best ways. I mean, how often are you going to hit those roller coaster rides in life? There are highs and lows, and in every sporting game you go through, God knows how many of those, throughout a basketball game, football game, wrestling match, whatever. And so I think it's important to communicate that with the parents. But as you've all pointed out, they want the best players out there and then their kid in some shape, way, or form. I mean, we've had to the point, in games where they don't care if their kid plays a lot. They just want their name announced at the starting lineup, or that they want them in there at least, a minute each quarter, or at least if they see some time, they're happy. It is tough. Communication is key. But as you said, Chip, that their kids, their prized possession. They want what's best for them. And I believe parents are fairly level-headed until it comes to their kid. Then it can get a little messy.
Yes. Oh, my goodness. If you guys have another question, I'll let you. I do know that Swanson has 3,432 questions out there. Right?
You keep upping it, man. I'm actually dwindling them down even more. Chip, we talk a lot about, you've talked a lot about individual success for, kids and other people. If we look at today's society and look at today's kids, what do you think is the single most important trait? Just one that a kid needs to have to be successful in sports and in life?
Consistency.
Consistency?
Yeah. I think if you can be consistent each day, and showing up, having a good attitude, giving your all, you can consistently do that, then everything else is going to take care of itself.
I wholeheartedly agree. I think Coach Doherty, the way he's shaking his head, agrees, and Coach Bank. I mean, that's something we preach all the time is, consistency. That makes or breaks, games and teams and everything else. I'd wholeheartedly agree with that one.
So
how do you deal with and I'm not saying anybody's hierarchy in anybody's school is bad, okay? I'm merely asking this question kind of in a broad topic matter, and this could go into organizations as well. But how do you deal with maybe the administration or the CEO not understanding your relationship and your bout of consistency and culture building and this, that, and the other, and you're getting a pushback. How do you have that hard conversation with your boss? I guess is what I'm asking.
that's a good question, Coach. I think at the start of all, you have to know those core common principles and core common values. And going into it, you have to have that support of that person and let them understand that the support from you is necessary, because really it's not just about me. Like for me, I'm academics first, and so I want to know what I can do to help academically make sure that the kids are taken care of, and then we'll get to the sports. We have to be on the same page in order to get where we want to get all over this place in the organization.
Absolutely. Eric, do you have anything?
Yeah. What would the conversation look like, or what, I guess, tips could you give? One of our situations is our most influential people inside of our organization aren't necessarily the best leaders. They're the people that people gravitate towards, but lack leadership qualities. How would you converse with that young man or whoever it may be, and kind of coax him into going into the leadership side?
So you're saying, so I'm looking at it as me being the leader and talking to someone that needs
Correct.
leadership help?
Yes, correct.
Okay. So if that's the case, I think that's where it comes with that open, honest conversation that I talked about at the beginning. We set the tone early by me, having a non-judgmental environment, an open environment where we can openly communicate and have constructive criticism, and work together as a team. And I think you have to start there first. And that takes time to build that. People, that just doesn't happen. But when you get to those situations like that, when you come to that person and say, hey, I need you to work on this, to be better at this. But then not just saying, I need you to work on this, but I want to help you work on this, and let me know what you need me to do to help you get there.
Coach Swanson, I think that you and I do a great job at that, but most of the time it's still loud. It's still a very loud conversation when that takes place. Yeah,
I would agree with that. Not because we want it to be. We just are loud individuals. Our kids tell us that a little too often.
Yeah. So, Coach Swanson, you got a few more questions up your sleeve, I'm sure, and then Coach Doherty will come back to you too.
Yeah. So overall, I mean, Chip, you've given us some great information. I mean, you really break it down to a very, very simple approach when defining, what it takes to be successful and building that culture. So when we put that all together, what does success look like to you?
Success for me in an organization looks like all parties involved know the expectation. All parties involved know that there's consistency. All parties involved know what's going to happen. Like if something goes wrong, or we have to make an adjustment, like you know what I'm going to do. Just like being in the game. Like if we grew up together, Coach Banks and I, we played ball all the time. We go to the park and like I know his move, he knows my move. So we don't have to say anything. We just give each other the eye. I know I'm going back door. Hit me here. Like those kind of things. And so in an organization, I think you have to work to get to those things, and that comes with really having effective communication.
I have to add this, Coach Doherty, because for me, he might be throwing the back door, but I'm going to fireman's carry him and and throw him to the mat, right?
Hey, that's right. That's right.
Oh goodness, you kill me, Banks.
Well, I do coach. I do coach basketball. You know what I mean? But hey, let's see, Manny Trulio,
Good pump fake.
the pump fake all day.
Hey, so let me tell you, that's one of my buddies that I grew up with, childhood friends, and that's my move. he knows my move, the pump fake.
I love that, man. All right, Coach Doherty.
Yeah, I know that you were asked earlier about the individual, and you said consistency.
Yeah.
What would your answer be for the organization as far as the key component?
Consistency.
Consistency?
Yeah, I say the same thing. We all need to be on the same page. Because when you all are on the same page, everybody knows what you're going to get. Just those successful all day, those successful programs, are those ones that like Alabama, like like smash mouth football. We ain't trying to kick it. We're gonna run over you. Like stop us. And so I think when you can get to that in anything you're doing, and really that's what I strive to get to in all phases of my life. Work, home, my faith, everything I do. I really work hard to have consistency because I want people to know what they're going to get from me. Like without a doubt, like like Coach knows on this interview, he knew beforehand what he was going to get from me. And I work hard to do those things.
It's because you go get it.
Go get it, baby. That's right.
Yeah, and we say let's get it done.
Yes, sir.
Okay. We got about 12 minutes. I do want you to share, Chip, a little bit about this this book, this organization. What you can do to help outside organizations, improve and find that consistency and that love within their organization. Share a little bit about that because I'm sure Coach Doherty and Coach Swanson will have questions over that as well.
Awesome. So my second book just put out in the fall. Effective Conversation to Ignite Relationships is the title of the book. And it's co-written by Dr. Oliver T. Reed. He and we connected through the Success Chronicles. I interviewed him. We hit it off really well. Great man, sharp guy. He's done like 20 books. Great guy to learn from. And so we did. I interviewed him. Like, hey, let's link up. We did a topic session the next week. Man, let's do it again. We did a topic session. And so before long, it was like a month and a half of doing that. So he was like, hey, this is some good information. Let's put it in a book. Well, how about a book series? So we have a 4-book series, and this is our second book. First one was Growing Through Your Go-Through. And the second one is Effective Conversation to Ignite Relationships. And currently, we're doing a book tour in different cities, different states. So we did a Texas book tour, 4-city tour in November. Just did Indianapolis this past weekend, Combine weekend as well. So that was awesome experience. But really, it just breaks down tips to help you have effective conversation. And then one that I really want to share with you guys that's really good that people can use with staffs and organizations. So in my part of the book, excuse me, there's a part in there, and I did some research on people, and it's not just, husband and wife, boyfriend and girlfriend, it's all types of relationships. And I think that's what's great about it, because, our life moves at the speed of our relationship. That's a quote from one of my former pastors. But, I did some research, and I asked, what are some tips to help have an effective relationship. And there was a husband and wife scenario, and the lady said that we have a rating scale. And so, 1 to 10, 1 being, 0 to 10, 1, the low number being, it's not important at all to me. Or 10 being, hey, don't do that anymore. Don't do that. Right. And so, for an example was for the lady, it's crumbs on the table, was a 9 for her. Right. And for the guy, that's like a 1 or a 2. I don't care about any crumbs. I just want to eat the food. That's not important to me. But what it does is it allows for the open, non-judgmental communication, right? And so, from the lady's perspective, it shows the guy that, hey, okay, so that's pretty big for her. All right. From the guy's perspective, he can say, hey, well, I need to help her out with that, and it's not important to him, so they can find a happy medium. Now he cleans up after the meal for the family and makes sure there's no crumbs on the table, and that helps their relationship. So, that analogy can be used in any type of organization. I think it really helps with the communication because if we have an issue, like, hey, coach, that was like an 8 for me. And then now, what was that for you? Like, that was like a 3 for me. And then now we can just talk about it. Yeah, it was an 8 for me because this, it was a 3 for me because this. And so what's our plan to get better on that? And so really, that's only taking me, a minute, 2 minutes to do that.
I'm going to guess that Coach Swanson will come over tomorrow with a big 10 on his paper.
Never. Chip, I think that's a great tool to get effective conversation because I think, especially in today's society, whether it's with, your significant other, people you work with, whatever, it's hard to have an effective conversation without people getting very upset. I see this, teaching kids, coaching them, whatever, it's hard to get conversations and be serious and sincere when you say something, the other person just, they're upset and don't want to listen. So I'm excited to read this book. I think it's going to be great. I can't wait to, crack it open and see what you got. But, what you've said today has been some really great and insightful words of wisdom.
Thank you, Coach. I really appreciate that.
Coach Doherty?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited about it too. I'm excited to take this rating system to class tomorrow.
Yeah.
We've been talking in class about, I asked my kids, what do you expect from me as your teacher? And we had a conversation on it, and we got to talk about, the things that I expect from them. But I think this number system's a great thing. I'm excited to try it.
Thank you, Coach. Yeah, it's, and I'll just tell you, I've incorporated, my wife and I, we incorporated. Sometimes she said, Chip, that's a 12. Hey, good, like the scale stops at 10, okay? But yeah, it's really good. I thought that it was really neat.
Coach Swanson, what we should do is we should initialize, if they hit a 10 in practice, then we use Coach Carter's spinning wheel of death, right? Or fortune.
Oh, yeah, wheel of misfortune. Oh, yeah.
Oh, you got a 10? Oh, okay. Anyway.
Spin the wheel. Oh, goodness.
Oh, yeah. We have about 6 minutes left. Chip, let everybody know where they can find you, follow you, find your book, and definitely come into contact.
Yes. So all of my social media is Chip Baker TSC. I'm on Instagram. Twitter is Chip Baker 19, but everything else is Chip Baker TSC, as in the Success Chronicles, or Chip Baker, the Success Chronicles. And I'm on all of the social medias, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, everywhere. So it's no excuse for you not to get this positive inspiration and motivation, right? And so for me, a big thing is, in my life, I learned at a young age that it ain't about me, right? And so my goal is just to do what I can to help make our world a better place. So, guys, if you go on and see something that you like, I would ask that, not the typical thing, like people ask, like, subscribe, follow, comment, all of that stuff. Just if there's something on there you see you like and would help someone, just share it with them. to help make our world a better place. And that's what I would have.
Now I'm waiting for Coach Doherty to get his TikTok going.
Dang.
I did get a TikTok the other day. The kids told me that I needed it because our workouts could go viral, whatever that means.
Well, that's because you're in the best shape in this panel. No. Hey, I appreciate everybody coming on. If you like what you're hearing, be sure to subscribe, like us, share us, on all facets as well. Chip's not only a guest and a confidant, but he's a great friend as well. It's awesome to have you back on, my brother. And, I can see you coming back on again and again on this Coaching Culture and Athletics, the Coach Show.
Hey, Coach, thanks again so much for giving me the opportunity to hang out with you guys. I consider it an honor and a privilege. Yeah,
and also we're working on putting together our first Coaching Culture and Athletics organizational event. Coach Hodges out of Centerville, he's a state champion baseball coach. He's working on getting us a venue, and then I'll be in contact with all of our group as well. But Chip, we got to get you to Iowa, brother.
Hey, see that right there? That's a pen. Sign me up.
Let's get it done and go get it. Hey,
get it.
That's our show for tonight. Wednesday night, Coach Swanson and I should be on doing our normal, shoot the cred session. Next Sunday night, we have Chris Dewar. There'll be lots of Dewarisms next Sunday, so be sure to hit us up. For everybody on the CCA Broadcast Network, good night.